Hello and welcome to the Red Report, proud to be part of the TalkSport Fans Network. Well, with us, the Avengers Assemble, that's what we'll call it, because I don't know what else to say, because I'm lost for words, to be perfectly honest with you. Ian and Steve with us. Boys, I would love to talk about going through in the FA Cup. I would have loved to talk about, another fine away performance. But as things stand, we're out of the FA Cup. And despite maybe not many chances, but dominating the play for quite some time, punished again, I'd like to say, by a late goal by Wrexham. But let's go back to Saturday first. Ian, FA Cup, I sort of thought the pressure might be off a little bit, although because home form we know is a bit of an issue at the moment. But I thought there might be less pressure because if you lose, okay, you're out of FA Cup, but at least you're not dropping points. It's fair to say we did everything but score because clearly losing on penalties after 0-0, 30 shots on target. Sorry, 30 shots, 9 on target, 14 off target. Missed a couple of penalties. It's one to forget, but it's one we need to learn from, isn't it?
Yeah. Where do you start? It's just such a Barnsley thing to do for me. Home game, a very, very winnable home game. No disrespect to Bristol Rovers, but come on. Chance of getting in the hat for the third round, break the home hoodoo type of thing. He played a strong team, fair play to him. He went for it, and it just, I don't know, it's been playing till now. I don't think we'd have won that game, would we?
Steve, you went now. Before we start talking about me, you were sat in the press box with officials.
Check you out.
Yeah, look at me.
Look at me. I've got influential friends, apparently.
clearly. Wish I had. Is it different? I mean, when I go, obviously, I sit in the West End, but does the match look different when you set from it? Because in the Ponty end, there is the atmosphere, which clearly is lacking where you see. It's press box. There is no atmosphere. But did it feel different as well for you?
Because I mean that West Stand. I mean, for a start, you're watching one side and you lean that way, and then ball goes other side, and then you've got to lean other way to get around stanchions. So that was certainly different. There's no atmosphere in West Stand. Whether there's any on lower tier bit, I don't know. But in upper, obviously we're at press sit. There's still some supporters up there and what have you. It is very flat, really, really. So when people start singing West Stand, give us a song, don't expect much at all.
No.
And on Saturday, they didn't get much at all. Let's be honest. It were a bag of shite. Let's say it how it is.
But let's be honest. That's why we do this, because everybody has their own opinion, and we value everybody's opinion, even if it's different. Us three will have different opinions, and I think that's what football is all about. Where is it go? And I know we're not scoring, but where is it going wrong?
Midfield. Midfield is where it's going wrong. I'll tell you now where it's going wrong. Midfield. Back five are playing decent. Kept them at bay on Saturday and kept Wrexham at bay, to be honest, last night. Where did goal come from last night? Midfield, because John Russell can't run to save his life. And midfield just kept backing off, and no challenges were put in. You can't score if you're not getting balls played to you. DKD did nothing last night at all, but he never got ball. Humphries is getting ball. It's on his head. It's at one side. It's other. We know what Humphries' strengths are. To his feet so he can run onto it. Do we play that? No, we don't. Cotter came on Saturday, put some good balls across, played well for me. I thought looked tidy. Never even on bench last night. What's that? What's up there? No idea. Jallo, when he came on Saturday, he looked as though he wanted it. That's the first time probably this season where I can say, yeah, it were worth bringing him on, and he looked semi-decent. But take that away, and everybody loves player at season, don't they? Where's Phillips been for last month? Because he weren't there on Saturday, and he bloody weren't there last night. Absolute garbage. Waster of shirt yet again. John Russell had 2 or 3 decent games because he pushed him up forward, up front side. nothing again. These players are letting us down. Why people keep championing him? Sky again. Oh, we'll do a little piece on Stephen Fletcher and Ollie Watkins. Not Ollie Watkins. What they call him up front? Perkin. Ollie Palmer. And it began with a P. Doing a little piece at beginning. Then they do a little piece on Adam Phillips. Oh, he scored so many in this, joint leading scorer. What they don't add at end is Bury shite. Really, and why does he keep taking Gent off? I don't understand it. Earl is not a left back. It upsets side, and to be honest, at minute for me, he should go back to a 4-4-2. Get some more decent players in midfield. Naquali should be playing. Why again he didn't play last night? I just don't understand it. I don't understand his thinking at the minute. There's players letting us down, and I hate to say it, but managers letting us down as well. Anyway, thanks, lads. I'm off.
for me on that, I'm more the players than the coach, because I think what we're suffering from is too many. Steve touched on it. Too many of the players are inconsistent footballers. Yep. Too many will play good one day and then be crap for another 4. You've mentioned Phillips. You've mentioned Russell. You could call Cosgrove. You could call Humphries. Sometimes you could say Connell. There's too many that are inconsistent, and that's the problem.
I'll be honest. If
we get the door, bear with me.
Oh, go on. Oh, nice. Amazon. I bet it's a brown paper package. I bet it's in plain. I bet it's plain brown paper. I bet it's got it'll have a Holland.
I think he said it's some sort of new light for his OnlyFans page or something.
Yeah, I'll bet it is.
Yeah.
No, it's
5 gallon of lube. I know what it is. It's one of them big containers.
I've locked the bloody family out. That's what I've done. But keep back door. Hey, sorry about that. I've ruined your whole recording.
No, that's fine. That. Try to get tea on now. She's back.
Light in the oven. Is it also because it was mentioned a couple of times during commentary yesterday that obviously the FA Cup match, it was an extra 30 minutes and then it was penalties. The words actually I heard was Barnsley came here fatigued, which I sort of think, but the professional sportsmen, when it's like the Euros or whatever, look at England when they play on a Friday and again on a Monday, like a bank holiday, they do too much. I don't think we could use that as an excuse, first of all. And I don't even think it should be mentioned. It should be possible to play an extra 30 minutes
because they're just going to do less in training, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's simple. They just ease off in training and do more light training to cope then, that keep the energy levels up. That's straightforward. But I just think you've got too many players who are once every now and again a 7 and 8 out of 10, like Russell did for a couple of games, and then they're back to being 4s and 5s. And with 2 managers have called it now with Phillips, and we're not just calling him. There's a number of players who just do not consistently give you 7 or 8 out of 10 every week. So therefore, what you're getting is inconsistent performances. You're then getting your inconsistent form. So we've gone from not being able to create a chance late September when we went in the first international break. Now we're creating chances, but we can't hit a barn door with a banjo. So we're just inconsistent. 1 minute we're playing some good football and we're going on a run. Then we're going on this run where we're winless in 5. And it's because the players are putting in and out performances. So it's no surprise, is it? I mean, I'm not saying the manager isn't completely blameless, but I just think it's down to them players. Them players are the ones who are not putting it in the back of the net, not the manager.
Is it fair to say, though, that whilst we don't see him in training and everything, some of the decisions, we're all football managers at heart, I suppose, but we are fans. I thought the game management, I thought yesterday when I saw certain individuals early in the second half, I thought they need to come off. We need to try something different because it's just, you can knock on the door so many times, but if nobody's opening, you need to try another way around, don't you, to get in. And I felt with the substitutions, he left it a little bit. I questioned why, and it could well be injuries, but Naquali didn't start. From what I've seen, he just seems to have a really composed manner about him in midfield. He can play that pass. He will take somebody on. Does some blame lie though with the manager? Because ultimately he selects who is, who's. I know he can't influence how they play, but he looks at training. I think they're my best 11. And surely questions are need to be raised. If Cotter did so well when he came on, why is he not there? Now Naquali started, why is he not? Because did they do something wrong? Is it, I don't know, does he favour maybe certain players for certain type of matches?
Oh, that's obvious. He favours certain players, full stop. You can see that. You can see that. I think you look at what's on bench coach-wise, and you've got your manager, but then you've got 3 or 4 or 5 different blokes, or Anstead, etc. They've all put in the 10 penneth in. And to me, is it too many cooks at minute? Does he need to stand away and say, right, sit down, don't keep getting up now, and up now, and up now? Because it's like watching bloody 400 metres at times. I'm just waiting for him to pass pattern. Has he got the full ear of the players, or is some other coaches, I'll not say undermining him because I'm sure they're not, but you can only really listen to one bloke at a time.
Yeah.
And some of his substitutions doesn't change anything. You're bringing Cosgrove on for Humphreys. You're bringing Jallow on for DKD. Very like-for-like players to a certain extent. You expect Cosgrove to give that little bit of something different. When he came on Saturday, the fact that Cotter were bombing down that wing and knocked some brilliant balls in, Cosgrove's nowhere to be seen. For a bloke that's 6 foot whatever and supposed to be this target man that everybody wants, it's like we're playing with a false number 9. He's that false, he doesn't even know where he is.
How can it go so from the Rotherham game, the chances we created and dominated that game, how can it go a few games later and just be like this now, where there's problems all over the pitch? Well, apart from like you said, the back five's pretty much solid. It's mad, isn't it? How can we go from we were purring about them, weren't we, after the Rotherham game? Yeah. And that had been building up. They'd won at Blackpool, and they started putting a couple of good performances, better performances together. And now it's kind of like gone back to being finger potting all over the pitch.
Well, if you watched it last night, I watched a little bit, and it were mainly midfielders, to be honest. Connell, Phillips, Russell, not to much extent. They were walking about and they're like pointing, and then they're shrugging their shoulders to each other as if to say, well, what do you want me to do? What are you doing here? Why have you played that? What have you done that? And they're like, what's happened to team spirit? Because for me, back five are playing really well. Roberts is outstanding at minute, absolutely outstanding. But your midfield, if I were Humphreys or DKD to some extent, I'd be saying, what are you doing?
That's got echoes of last season, isn't it? When Herbie Kane used to look and
shrug his shoulders. It's got echoes of Woodrow.
Yeah,
Corley Woodrow, what a brilliant player. But towards end, everybody was slating him uphill and down dale, but he were having to go and fetch ball. And now Humphreys is having to do the same. Everybody's saying, oh, Max Watters, we need him back. Jesus Christ, where were you 6 months since when they wanted to hang him from a bloody lamppost? But
very true.
He's been playing well. Unfortunately, he is injured. But who are you going to drop if Watters comes back? Because I wouldn't drop Humphreys. And to a certain extent, I wouldn't necessarily drop DKD.
No, because if anything's going to happen, it's going to be from playing like that, isn't it? Yeah. Let's lift the mood a little bit.
We're finishing. We're wrapping it up.
Oh, wait, right. Thanks, lad. Merry Christmas.
Thanks for coming.
Ben Killip. I mean...
Oh well. He had a good game last night. He had a really good game. On Saturday, and it's something that I heard being sat in the lofty heights where I was. But that last, yeah, his attitude towards end were absolutely stinking. Because, and people who watch match, if they manage to watch it, will know what I'm talking about now. When they start at penalties and he was walking to end at pitch where they were taking him, he was taking his time, he was dawdling, he weren't going towards referee, and referee's beckoning him over because he's got to tell both keepers, obviously, you've got to stay on your line and blah, blah, blah. It's protocol. It's what they've got to do.
Yeah.
Apparently, Killick were messing about, just dawdling, and when referee shouting him over, come on, I need to tell you what you're doing. I already know what I'm doing. Can we just hurry it up? I want to get off home. I've had enough now. Now, you tell me what sort of attitude that is. Come on, hurry up. I want to get home. This is what he said to him. Now, that to me is somebody I don't want in my club. If he's not prepared to do job he's getting paid for and getting paid really well for his level, what can you say? And if that's the attitude at goalkeeper, what attitude then is going around some other players? Because some of them players want to have a good long look at themselves. They want to change the career choice for me. Because I think they've picked wrong fucking job. Oh, excuse me. Drop that one. Sorry.
We'll stick in a box about the language we'll find out.
Yeah, tick a box.
Yesterday especially, I don't know what it is. I keep saying a mindset thing, but I don't know if that's the right word. We started off like a house on fire, and there was the press was back. We used the ball wisely. We were always facing forward. We put them under some pressure, and it just feels like a game of chess when we make that first move and we've got the upper hand. And you think, you know what, it's not about this, and then it goes on and you're not scoring, and then the opposition makes a change tactically for me, whatever. And I just feel we become unstuck. And we've said it before. I worry about a plan B again, because the start yesterday, you're away at Wrexham, you're being live watched by millions of people in the US of A, when this immersive thing. You start off, I thought, you know what? It's all right, this. I'm a lot better than I thought. And I had a really good feeling thinking this, it could be one of those away nights again, this, couldn't it? And then when you try it, no real clear-cut chances, but possession, moving forward, and everything you want to see was there, wasn't it? And then it just goes. And then they brought some substitutions on, and it's like they've made a move in this chess game, and we're like, oh, what do we do now? It just
that Carlo, though, you could say about the Stockport home game, the Wycombe game at home, the Huddersfield away game.
Yeah.
There's countless games you can say straight off the top of my head where we've started games really well and then we've either run out of steam or we've run out of idea. And then we've ended up dropping points at the end of the game. So, that is nothing new, is it?
But where does the finger of blame go there? Because if it's the game plan, that's the man in the dugout, isn't it, who comes up with it, with a plan A, B, C. So what I'm saying is we've seen these players being capable of playing good League One football and being able to win matches. If you look at the away record, you look at Rotherham, you look at Blackpool. You said it earlier. It's like we've gone from these performance levels to these. And then I'm wondering, do we think everything behind the scenes is hunky-dory? January is coming up. Do we think players like Phillips, maybe a sniff of, I've scored 8 goals, I'm top goal scorer. The BBC clearly, or Sky clearly thought he was the main threat before kickoff yesterday. They get his stats up and everything else. Do we think that is starting to take, maybe affecting some of our players up there? Because yesterday, I put it in a WhatsApp, I just feel they go missing. Like, I said to Steve the other day, it just feels, you never see Phillips like a proper tackle. I tell you, I see doing it. I see Gent doing it. Corey O'Keefe, I see him doing it. Earl, Mark Roberts, blood and water, blood and guts. Connell, I don't see that with Phillips. And
if you watch Phillips and you watch him when he goes, if one of their players has got a ball and he goes towards player, he'll stop about 2 yards before player. He won't actually. You'll never see Phillips go for a 50-50.
No.
He'll never run length at pitch and do a last gasp challenge because he won't. Now, is that because that's the type of player he is? That's all well and good. But if you're not going to do that, you've got to be bloody good at something else.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, he's decent. He's a decent player. When he's on his game, he's a decent player. He can strike a ball. Remember last time we saw him have a shot? A decent shot?
Yeah.
I can't remember. He's either pulling it, he's either scuffing it, or he's either missing it. But you will never see him put in a full-blooded challenge. And when he jumps, it's only bloke I know who's 5'10", 5'11", that when he jumps, he's 4'6". Because when he jumps, he ducks down. You watch him. And this is his player at year from last season, this, which were a travesty then. And it's a fucking travesty now. But he doesn't drop him for anything.
What about Connell, though? You know, you want your captain to lead by example. I think a clear case could be made that, for me, the heart and guts on that pitch has been Mark Roberts from the first day when he rejoined. I think in this stage of his career, I think League One, I'm not saying it's comfortable for him, but I think, he might be a bit older, but he's got, he knows it up there. And if he's up against a fast forward, he'll give him 2 yards because he knows he'll not beat him in a straight sprint. So he'll make sure he's the one that's talking. How hard is it for a captain that's not really in the form of his life to try and, G everybody up around him, Ian? Because that's difficult. Because I looked at Connell yesterday and, there was a free kick that went absolutely sailing over. And I just think, like, is that armband, do you think, is that weighing him down a little bit, maybe, do we reckon? Something's affected him, hasn't he? We've been waiting so long for that Connell that we initially saw to come back. We're still waiting.
Yeah, I think also the danger is you say, like, Clark's got some favourites, but what's the solution on the bench? Who's gonna really push him? Benson's always injured. He's made a bloody balsa wood. Matty Craig's been a little bit in and out. Who's going to come off that bench or in training give Clark a headache of who? And I mean, don't get me wrong, it's very rare that you would drop your captain, but who's going to really take Connell's place off him? So he's quite comfortable. And I don't want to slate Connell because he's one of our better players, and he does try, but there's nothing. There's not much off the bench that's pushing.
Do you think that captaincy's weighed him down a little bit? I mean, I at the beginning of the season, I were chuffed to bits.
Yeah, I thought it was a great move. Yeah.
But I look at it now, and it's not going to change. It's not going to change because managers don't change captain halfway through the season because it makes them look a twat in their mind hotels. But I just wonder now whether he's finding it difficult to combine the two roles of captain and to play as we know he can play. I mean, obviously, your choice for captain is Roberts because at minute he's a commanding figure, he's playing really well, and he's older. Maybe he would handle it better. But for me, he should be now helping Connell. He's not going to, like I say, he's not going to change Connell. He's still going to be captain, but perhaps he should be taking him to one side and having a word. And I just don't see that. I just, like you said, what's happening in training, what's happening behind closed doors. Something again seems very, very bad.
You both said it a couple of times, and I think everybody will agree. I definitely do. You talked about.
Oh, there's lots of people that don't agree, mate.
Yeah,
you've only got to look on bulletin boards and what have you to see that.
and that's absolutely fine. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. Yesterday, when I was watching it, I mean, the wife doesn't understand football. It says, "Oh, that's it. Well, this is it now." Gent came off and Pint came on, and we've talked about this before. I know he then pushed Earl out to the left-hand side to try and go forward and everything else. I feel a little bit like...
Don't sit on fence, Carlo. Say what you feel, mate. Say what you feel.
Spit it out. Come on.
Because we're all going to set same, so don't worry about it.
A good football player under good management will become better till they reach the peak, and that will be the level they got. Donovan Bynes, when he first came in, he was a machine. I feel at times he's more of a liability now than a machine. His first 2 touches yesterday, I think he lost the ball and the other one was just a swipe and it went in Rolls Head in whatever stand they have in Wales. Is defence something we need to look at in January? Because I know we said it before, but if Mark Roberts, God forbid, was to get injured, you'd really worry, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
No,
I think.
Would you really worry?
Well, I think the left side, if Gent got injured,
yeah,
I think the left side. To be honest, I think you could strengthen in all the departments. I think, let's face it, we've criticised midfield. Have we got bigger problems than the defence?
I think so.
We've probably got more depth in defence than we have it elsewhere. You could say there's an argument for a striker because Jallo's been right off this season. I know it's not easy coming on for 10 minutes at a time and stuff, but his attitude's not look great either. Waters can be in and out. All the strikers can be in and out. The midfield is probably the bigger problem. We haven't got pace in there. We haven't got creativity. Probably the last place to look at is central defence, but I think the left side, definitely if Gent or Earl get injured, we're looking very thin on that left-hand side. But probably centre-half is probably one of the lowest priorities, I would have thought. I know, I get it, you don't want injuries, but I suspect midfield's a biggie.
Yeah.
Luckily, we're playing again in a couple of days.
Birmingham. Wow. Looking forward to that, aren't
we? Birmingham at home. I mean, you could say, well, we kept Bristol Rovers at bay and eventually lost in a shootout, which I still think is a disgrace where you have the chances you have. You could say, well, we went away at Wrexham. Wrexham playing really well, second in the league, 1-0 late on in the match. You don't want to say that because we're football fans. We know what we're capable of. Surely, knowing you're going to play Birmingham and knowing you're at home, you fear that one, don't you? Well, I do. Steve?
There's no. What do you really want me to say? I want to be positive. I want to be upbeat. But what I've seen last 3 or 4 games, if he puts that same 11 out on Saturday, it could be a cricket score. I really do think. I think defence will try their utmost. Will Killip maintain his good form, or will he go back to being what he actually is? Who knows? But midfield need to get hold of this game, and as good as we think midfield is, Birmingham's so much better. I'm sorry, but they are. It'll be a proper test.
But they lost at Shrewsbury, didn't they?
Yeah.
So they are beatable. It's more how we perform. If we carry on being shot shy, then it's going to be. But
we're not shot shy, though, are we?
No,
we're having loads of shots.
Yeah, we just can't.
If you got a point for hitting corner flag with a shot, we'd be fantastic.
Yeah,
or
I think
stand. But
something's got to change. It's going to be one or the other, isn't it? It's either going to be everything we hit flies in, and like Georgie Gent said in an interview last week, he said we're going to hit somebody big time because of the chances of creating, or it'll be more of the same. And we'll huff and we'll puff, and we'll not get shots on target, and we'll lose by 1 or 2. It'll be we'll lose the game. And it's you can flick a coin as to who's going to turn up. We know what we're going to get from Birmingham. It's us. It's who's going to turn up.
And it's not. We talked about the potential fatigue after playing 30 minutes extra. At Birmingham, we've got a tough game tonight. They're at home to Stockport. So, they're playing tonight. They've got less sort of recovery before the faces at Oakwell. Changes? Would you make any changes to round up? Would you make any changes, Ian, from the starting 11 or finishing 11, whatever you want, against Wrexham? Can you?
I think he's hamstrung a little bit with the side he starts with. I think it's probably the strongest side, isn't it? Unless you chuck somebody in who's not had much football, which is not always ideal, is it? I think I can see it. Unless he plays Wakali, whatever he's called. Unless he plays him and chucks him in at home and thinks he might open him up, I can't see too many changes. I really can't.
Steve?
I've got to agree with Ian, and I don't want to be quite honest. I really don't. I want him to pick his best 11 players that are going to do it for us on Saturday. But if he puts that 11 out that started last night, that is not, at the minute, our best 11 players. I just don't think it is. I think other teams now know what we're about. They know what style we play, if there is a style. They know what formation we play. If he's wanting to get wingers downside to knock ball in, go back to a 4-4-2. I know that upsets your back four to a certain extent. But if he picks Connell, Russell and Phillips on Saturday, you know what? Put white flags out. Let's just call it a day now, because they are not performing. And if he can't see that they're not performing, then there's something wrong with him. And yeah, I agree with him when he says we haven't got that much backup on bench. But Nokali, when he has played, has looked a handful. He's got some lovely touches and some good vision. I think Connell will stop in as captain. But I think for the Phillips role, do you drop DKD back a bit and put Jallow up front with Humphreys? Or do you just bring Jallow in for a straight swap for Phillips? For me, Phillips, and I don't care what anybody says, Phillips for me should not be starting on Saturday, because he doesn't deserve to. He really does not deserve that place on Saturday at all. And Russell doesn't either.
I think what people say, because people will quickly refer back to who scored 8 goals, and I think that's correct. Factually, it's correct. Many of them are just they're not 90-minute players. Too often we switch off either after 60 minutes or we go missing for periods and then make it up by a good run or a tackle or whatever. Yesterday during commentary at one point, and we were in possession, there were certain names and almost you forget they're playing because they're just not being mentioned. And when you talk about the test on Saturday, Birmingham 3rd in the league, they've played 15, whereas others have played 17 or 18. They're only 6 points behind Birmingham, who've got behind Wickham, who are obviously top of the table, and they're 4 points behind Wrexham with 3 games less. So, it was probably the biggest away test and the biggest home test in a week. But if you want to get out of this division, those are the type of matches where you need to make a count. And unfortunately, it wasn't only an FA Cup exit, but it was huge disappointment. Let's say in the manner of the defeat yesterday at Wrexham. I just need a score prediction and the Barnsley goal scorer. We'll go with Steve first, because he'll be thinking who's going to score first. Watch him come out with Phillips 4-0.
No, I don't say it very often, but I don't give a cat in hell's chance on Saturday. I'm going to go 3-0.
I was going to go 3-1 loss. So
I've just gone 3-0 loss. I think, because I think if they get one, they'll get 3 or 4. I really do. See, look, even Ian's that pissed off with that. He's gone. He's really upset that he was going to say 2-0 Barnsley, Humphreys and DKD to score. And now, face on.
The problem is, though, isn't it, Steve, that because it's Birmingham, because they're playing well, because they're scoring goals, if they get an early goal, it's good.
Sorry about that. I've no idea what happened. I've had a shit.
We know your lass has come in. Come on, Ian. Tea's on table. Get your arse in kitchen. Oh yes, well, I'm on my way.
We
know exactly that.
Shocker. Before I don't know what happened then. I'll go. Dare I say 1-1?
You can if you want.
We take it, won't we? We take it.
Yeah.
We were just saying, Ian, the danger Saturday is fans and atmosphere, isn't it? If we go a goal behind or we go 2 goals behind, there's already rumblings on. Well, there's always rumblings on social media. To be fair, we can win 7-0 and people are moaning because it should have been 9.
Yeah. That's the danger. Got to stay in the game. Just stay in the game, even if it's 0-0.
It is, and fans will get behind that because you're still in the game. But it's a critical period with lots of games coming up in the next 3-4 weeks, of course. So, let's hope that next week. It feels a while since we talked about a win. We'd have to look at the script to see what we talk about because
ain't got a clue, mate. No. Ain't got a clue. I'm buggered if Phillips scores on Saturday, aren't I?
You're going to a goal on Saturday.
White flag and gone.
He's going to play his Dido white flag.
Yeah.
That's a Dido, not yet. Don't forget, if you're going to Oakwell, enjoy. Get behind the lads. And let's see what we can get out of difficult Birmingham side. But Ian says lucky if we could get a draw. It's a 3-0 loss for Steve, and it's a 3-1 loss for me, with Devante Cole scoring first. You'll be listening. We'll be back next week. You ready?